Hello advanced student, welcome to our English class. It's a pleasure to be here and to have you here studying with us. Keep improve your English conversation and your listen, and don't forget to tell us to get in touch with us by WhatsApp for practicing this new vocabularies, these expressions, these subjects we are talking about, okay? Today it's a nice class, an awesome class. I love this class because we are going to improve our listen, watching a video from Barack Obama's speech to American students. I got so affected, or I get so affected every time when I am watching this video. We are gonna learn a lot, not only English, but about human situations, about education. It's always important talking about. So pay attention, repeat this video, the first part from this class. The video is My Education, My Future. This speech was recorded, I believe, almost 10 years ago. I don't know exactly the time, but we are gonna follow this video here with subtitles and try to understand everything, try to pay attention about the subject and keep learning with this accent. Barack Obama speaks English perfect, like you know, and you have to pay attention and learn with him and learn with the new words used and things like that. And after that you watch this video, I have some questions for you, 11 questions about education about this video. So I'm gonna send you and put here in our platform, if you are following here on our platform, I'm gonna put here the audio from this lecture. For after this class, you are gonna keep practicing, listen more and more this lecture, and we are gonna improve a lot your English speaking, because if you are improving your listening, of course we are gonna use this in your English conversation network, okay? Let's watch this video, and after that I back here to ask the 11th questions, okay?
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right, everybody go ahead and have a seat. How's everybody doing today? How about Tim Spicer? I am here with students at Wakefield High School in Arlington, Virginia, and we've got students tuning in from all across America, from kindergarten through 12th grade. And I am just so glad that all could join us today, and I want to thank Wakefield for being such an outstanding host. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Now, I know that for many of you, today is the first day of school. And for those of you in kindergarten or starting middle or high school, it's your first day in a new school, so it's understandable if you're a little nervous. I imagine there's some seniors out there who are feeling pretty good right now, with just one more year to go. And no matter what grade you're in, some of you are probably wishing it were still summer, and you could have stayed in bed just a little bit longer this morning. I know that feeling. When I was young, my family lived overseas. I lived in Indonesia for a few years. And my mother, she didn't have the money to send me where all the American kids went to school. But she thought it was important for me to keep up with an American education. So she decided to teach me extra lessons herself, Monday through Friday. But because she had to go to work, the only time she could do it was at 4:30 in the morning. Now, as you might imagine, I wasn't too happy about getting up that early. And a lot of times I'd fall asleep right there at the kitchen table. But whenever I'd complain, my mother would just give me one of those looks and she'd say, "This is no picnic for me either, Buster." So I know that some of you are still adjusting to being back at school, but I'm here today because I have something important to discuss with you. I'm here because I want to talk with you about your education and what's expected of all of you in this new school year. I've given a lot of speeches about education, and I've talked about responsibility a lot. I've talked about teachers' responsibility for inspiring students and pushing you to learn. I've talked about your parents' responsibility for making sure you stay on track and you get your homework done and don't spend every waking hour in front of the TV or with the Xbox. I've talked a lot about your government's responsibility for setting high standards and supporting teachers and principals and turning around schools that aren't working, where students aren't getting the opportunities that they deserve. But at the end of the day, we can have the most dedicated teachers, the most supportive parents, the best schools in the world, and none of it will make a difference. None of it will matter unless all of you fulfill your responsibilities. Unless you show up to those schools, unless you pay attention to those teachers, unless you listen to your parents and grandparents and other adults and put in the hard work it takes to succeed. And that's what I want to focus on today. The responsibility each of you has for your education. I want to start with the responsibility you have to yourself. Every single one of you has something that you're good at. Every single one of you has something to offer. And you have a responsibility to yourself to discover what that is. That's the opportunity an education can provide. Maybe you could be a great writer, maybe even good enough to write a book or articles in a newspaper, but you might not know it until you write that English paper, that English class paper that's assigned to you. Maybe you could be an innovator or an inventor, maybe even good enough to come up with the next iPhone or the new medicine or vaccine, but you might not know it until you do your project for your science class. Maybe you could be a mayor or a senator or a Supreme Court justice, but you might not know that until you join student government or the debate team. And no matter what you want to do with your life, I guarantee that you'll need an education to do it. You want to be a doctor or a teacher or a police officer? You want to be a nurse or an architect, a lawyer or a member of our military? You're going to need a good education for every single one of those careers. You cannot drop out of school and just drop into a good job. You've got to train for it and work for it and learn for it. And this isn't just important for your own life and your own future. What you make of your education will decide nothing less than the future of this country. The future of America depends on you. What you're learning in school today will determine whether we as a nation can meet our greatest challenges in the future. You'll need the knowledge and problem-solving skills you learn in science and math to cure diseases like cancer and AIDS, and to develop new energy technologies and protect our environment. You'll need the insights and critical thinking skills you gain in history and social studies to fight poverty and homelessness, crime and discrimination, and make our nation more fair and more free. You'll need the creativity and ingenuity you develop in all your classes to build new companies that will create new jobs and boost our economy. We need every single one of you to develop your talents and your skills and your intellect so you can help us old folks solve our most difficult problems. If you don't do that, if you quit on school, you're not just quitting on yourself, you're quitting on your country. Now, I know it's not always easy to do well in school. I know a lot of you have challenges in your lives right now that can make it hard to focus on your schoolwork. I get it. I know what it's like. My father left my family when I was 2 years old, and I was raised by a single mom who had to work and who struggled at times to pay the bills and wasn't always able to give us the things that other kids had. There were times when I missed having a father in my life. There were times when I was lonely and I felt like I didn't fit in. So I wasn't always as focused as I should have been on school, and I did some things that I'm not proud of, and I got in more trouble than I should have. And my life could have easily taken a turn for the worse. But I was lucky. I got a lot of second chances, and I had the opportunity to go to college and law school and follow my dreams. My wife, our First Lady, Michelle Obama, she has a similar story. Neither of her parents had gone to college, and they didn't have a lot of money. But they worked hard, and she worked hard so that she could go to the best schools in this country. So some of you might not have those advantages. Maybe you don't have adults in your life who give you the support that you need. Maybe someone in your family has lost their job and there's not enough money to go around. Maybe you live in a neighborhood where you don't feel safe or have friends who are pressuring you to do things you know aren't right. But at the end of the day, the circumstances of your life, what you look like, where you come from, how much money you have, what you've got going on at home, none of that is an excuse for neglecting your homework or having a bad attitude in school. That's no excuse for talking back to your teacher or cutting class or dropping out of school. There is no excuse for not trying. Where you are right now doesn't have to determine where you'll end up. No one's written your destiny for you. Because here in America, you write your own destiny. You make your own future. That's what young people like you are doing every day all across America. Young people like Jasmine Perez from Roma, Texas. Jasmine didn't speak English when she first started school. Neither of her parents had gone to college. But she worked hard, earned good grades, and got a scholarship to Brown University, as now in graduate school studying public health, on her way to becoming Dr. Jasmine Perez. I'm thinking about Andoni Schultz from Los Altos, California, who's fought brain cancer since he was 3. He's had to endure all sorts of treatments and surgeries, one of which affected his memory, so it took him much longer, hundreds of extra hours to do his schoolwork. But he never fell behind. He's headed to college this fall. And then there's Chantel Steve from my hometown of Chicago, Illinois. Even when bouncing from foster home to foster home in the toughest neighborhoods in the city, she managed to get a job at a local health care center, start a program to keep young people out of gangs, and she's on track to graduate high school with honors and go on to college. And Jasmine, Andoni, and Chantel aren't any different from any of you. They face challenges in their lives just like you do. In some cases, they've got it a lot worse off than many of you. But they refuse to give up. They chose to take responsibility for their lives, for their education, and set goals for themselves. And I expect all of you to do the same. And that's why today I'm calling on each of you to set your own goals for your education and do everything you can to meet them. Your goal can be something as simple as doing all your homework, paying attention in class, or spending some time each day reading a book. Maybe you'll decide to get involved in an extracurricular activity or volunteer in your community. Maybe you'll decide to stand up for kids who are being teased or bullied because of who they are or how they look. Because you believe, like I do, that all young people deserve a safe environment to study and learn. Maybe you'll decide to take better care of yourself so you can be more ready to learn. And along those lines, by the way, I hope all of you are washing your hands a lot and that you stay home from school when you don't feel well so we can keep people from getting the flu this fall and winter. But whatever you resolve to do, I want you to commit to it. I want you to really work at it. I know that sometimes you get that sense from TV that you can be rich and successful without any hard work, that your ticket to success is through rapping or basketball or being a reality TV star. Chances are you're not going to be any of those things. The truth is, being successful is hard. You won't love every subject that you study. You won't click with every teacher that you have. Not every homework assignment will seem completely relevant to your life right at this minute. And you won't necessarily succeed at everything the first time you try. That's okay. Some of the most successful people in the world are the ones who've had the most failures. J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, her first Harry Potter book was rejected 12 times before it was finally published. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. He lost hundreds of games and missed thousands of shots during his career. But he once said, I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. These people succeeded because they understood that you can't let your failures define you. You have to let your failures teach you. You have to let them show you what to do differently the next time. So if you get into trouble, that doesn't mean you're a troublemaker. It means you need to try harder to act right. If you get a bad grade, that doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you need to spend more time studying. No one's born being good at all things. You become good at things through hard work. You're not a varsity athlete the first time you play a new sport. You don't hit every note the first time you sing a song. You've got to practice. The same principle applies to your schoolwork. You might have to do a math problem a few times before you get it right. You might have to read something a few times before you understand it. You definitely have to do a few drafts of a paper before it's good enough to hand in. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. I do that every day. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength, because it shows you have the courage to admit when you don't know something, and that then allows you to learn something new. So find an adult that you trust, a parent, a grandparent, or a teacher, a coach, or a counselor, and ask them to help you stay on track to meet your goals. And even when you're struggling, even when you're discouraged, and you feel like other people have given up on you, don't ever give up on yourself. Because when you give up on yourself, you give up on your country. The story of America isn't about people who quit when things got tough. It's about people who kept going, who tried harder, who loved their country too much to do anything less than their best. It's the story of students who sat where you sit 250 years ago and went on to wage a revolution, and they founded this nation. Young people. Students who sat where you sit 75 years ago, who overcame a depression and won a world war, who fought for civil rights and put a man on the moon. Students who sat where you sit 20 years ago, who founded Google and Twitter and Facebook and changed the way we communicate with each other. So today, I want to ask all of you, what's your contribution going to be? What problems are you going to solve? What discoveries will you make? What will a president who comes here in 20 or 50 or 100 years say about what all of you did for this country? You know, your families, your teachers, and I are doing everything we can to make sure you have the education you need to answer these questions. I'm working hard to fix up your classrooms and get you the books and the equipment and the computers you need to learn. But you've got to do your part too. So I expect all of you to get serious this year. I expect you to put your best effort into everything you do. I expect great things from each of you. So don't let us down. Don't let your family down or your country down. Most of all, don't let yourself down. Make us all proud. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
Okay, guys, I'm back. So I think you are liking this video. I think you like this and you are improving your English. Repeat this video, like I said, for you understand 89% of this lecture, this speech. And of course, after that, listen the audio, like I said, you listen, repeat this, not only twice, 3 times, but a lot of times for your mind understand 100% of that, and of course you are gonna improve your English a lot. This is my suggestions for you. Every time I listen this audio, I watch this video, I know everything he said that, but I improve my English every time I listen, and naturally we are gonna improve our English. So divided by these 11 questions in 2 audios, and tell us about your opinion about education, about this speech. The first question is, what did you think about Barack Obama's speech to students? The first question, all of questions is about your opinion. Yeah, it's not exactly answer a correct answer or wrong answer. No, think about to be natural in your English explanation. So, what did you think about this speech? The second one, do you like to study and why do you think it's important to study? Study in general, okay? Not only study languages or idioms, okay? In general. Third question, tell us about your experience with idioms. So, about learning languages, about learning expressions, different languages, okay? Number 4, which language do you think is hardest to learn and why? It's a nice question. In my opinion, for example, Mandarin it's not a easier language for learning, but it's possible. In my opinion, it's possible. Okay, number 5, give us a reason why people should learn languages. You know, the number since from first until 5, you are gonna talking about idioms. And the number 6, how are idioms useful? Okay, how are idioms useful? You are gonna stop here one audio talking about the 6 questions. And after that, another 5. Number 7, how do your classmates help you learn more? For example, in your class group, if you are studying together, how do your classmates can help you or help you learn more? Okay. Number 8, what do you think about technologies? Can help us? Yes or not? And what do you think? For example, right now I am recording this class because of the technologies. Technologies can help us to get in touch, to keep in touch, learning and after that keep in touch by WhatsApp and another social networks. In my opinion, the technologies are so important, so positive, but there are negative points, like everything, if you are not use it with nice things, nice intentions. Yeah. Number 9, for you, what is important to consider planning a career? Now is about planning a career. Normally you study a lot, you prepare, and now planning your career. What are you thinking about this? Number 10, what have you learned most from your grandparents? Nice questions. So, for me, learning about my grandparents wasn't, I didn't learn a lot of things because I only had my grandpa. When I talked, when I get in touch or got in touch with him, he was a old guy and it wasn't possible because he's almost passing away like this. He was sick and I didn't get in touch with him a lot, and that's why this thing I can talk to you about that because I only knew my grandpa, but he wasn't nice when I was younger. I was maybe 8 years old, 9 years old. I I talked to him, but he wasn't nice. And after that, he passed away. The number 11, what have you learned the most from your teachers? About this, I have a lot of things to talk. I've learned a lot with my teachers, a lot of teachers, more than 10 teachers, important teachers in my life. And when I had some important advice give from them, I always asked opinion. I always got in touch with them for learning more and more about my career, about my life, learning with friends. But with my teachers, I've learned a lot. And I would like to know your opinion. Okay? This is the 11th questions, and you have to divide it by 2 audios and try to do this. Guy, don't forget to do this because we are gonna not only practice our listen with the video from Barack Obama, but we are gonna improve your English conversation talking about different subjects. This is so important for you, like I am said in every classes. for you doing this, okay? So this is the first part. Let's keep to the next part, to the next page from our material. We have a nice and important thing for improving our English now. Native strong adjectives. Native strong adjectives, like you know in Portuguese, is adjetivos utilizados por nativos, fortes ali, né? Usados por nativos. Native strong adjectives. So, repeat please the first, layers. Layers, you can follow with me the material. Clothes such as t-shirts, blouses, scarf, and so on. So the native people use layers by t-shirts, by blouses, by scarf, you know, and every clothes they say layers. So I'm gonna take my layers now. Eu vou pegar minhas vestimentas, minha camiseta, minha blusa. Native people use that. Next one, very cold. Normally we say very cold for saying muito frio in Portuguese, but you can say better, repeat, native people say freezing, chilly, frost, and as cold as ice. So, how are you doing, man? So, as cold as ice. Tá muito frio, okay? Freezing, chilly, frost, as cold as ice. If you can use, of course, very cold, but native people use these words. Pay attention about that, and we are going to improve and enrich our knowledge. Example, I'm wearing a lot of layers because it's freezing outside. Eu estou usando muitas vestimentas, camisetas, blusas ou, né, no geral, because it's freezing outside, porque está frio lá fora, okay? Pay attention about this thing. Another thing is, repeat, very good. We use very good every time, okay? But normally native people say splendid, repeat, splendid, great, terrific, brilliant, wonderful, okay? They say very good, but normally you have to pay attention and put this in your English conversation. For example, this is terrific. Isso é formidável. Terrific, brilliant, wonderful, great. It means in Portuguese, very good. Muito bom, okay? This track was absolutely brilliant. Essa viagem foi absolutamente ou muito, né, brilhante. So, absolutely, it's like very, very terrific, absolutely brilliant, okay? Terrific, it means formidável. Next one, very cute. You know, very cute is muito fofo, fofinho. You can use like adorable, admirable, lovely. So, adorable, admirable, lovely, it means adorável, fofinho, okay? It's like, your dog is lovely. So, your sister is lovely. I love to know your sister. She's lovely, okay? It's like this, okay? Next one, native people say very tired. It means like exhausted, sleepy, distressed. It means very tired. So example, in this material, Ellen worked the whole night, that's why she's exhausted. A Ellen trabalhou muito a noite toda, ou trabalhou a noite toda, por isso ela está muito cansada ou exausta. It means like in Português, exausto, exausta, sleepy, com sono, mas também muito cansada, okay? Next one, very clean. You know, they are not using very every time. They are substituting this word for another one. Very clean, it means spotless. Spotless, it means very clean, muito limpo, okay? Limpinho. I wanna buy that car. It's spotless, ok? Eu quero comprar aquele carro, ele está num bom estado, muito limpo, muito legal ali, no sentido de limpo, não só de limpeza. Spotless, ok? That's great. So, like I said to you, the last example about very. They don't use very, very good, very nice, very cute. They change by these words. Repeat, please. Extremely, awfully, super, terribly. Extremely is extremamente. Awfully, it's like terrivelmente. That's why it's useful like very. Super, you know. Terribly, terrivelmente. And at the example now, he's extremely beautiful. Very beautiful, extremely beautiful. Extremely beautiful. Isso é muito bonito. Isso é bonito demais, you know? So he's extremely beautiful. Put this in your English conversation from that, okay? Next example. Today is awfully cold. Today is awfully cold. Hoje está terrivelmente frio, está muito frio, está frio demais, you know? Awfully cold. Next example, my grandpa is super friendly. My grandpa is super friendly. Meu avô é super amigável, é amigável demais, like in Portuguese, okay? And the last example now, that couple of boots are terribly nice. Aquele par de botas são muito legais, muito tops. You know, top in Português. Terribly nice. So, native strong adjectives. You have to use this. You have to pay attention because native people, American and British people using this native strong adjectives. You have to pay attention about that for you understand better them and for you use your English like a native English speaker. Okay, this is our class. Enjoy a lot this subject. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to tell us by WhatsApp and let's keep in touch and learning more and more. Thank you so much and see you next class. Bye bye. Take care.